Okay, so as promised, सर की एंट्री पर अब हम awkwardly एक दूसरे को देखेंगे। पहला सवाल सर, पहला
Yes,
सवाल,
please.
ये लाइन क्या है सर?
आप लोगों को क्या लगती है बताइए?
रिया मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड,
take-
बहुत लोगों ने सुना है।
Okay.
रिया कुछ, और इंस्टाग्राम पे जब हम इसके स्टोरीज में डालते हैं तो लिरिक्स में आता है लिया मेरे भरोसे। आपके लिए इस लाइन का क्या मतलब है?
एक ऑप्शन ये भी था, जिया मेरे दम पे, है ना, वो बहुत क्लोज ऑप्शन था।
तो आपको रियल वाला पता है सर क्या है ये?
रियल वाला अचिंत ने किसी को बताया ही नहीं है।
Hello everyone, welcome to the character breakdown of Harshad Mehta with the real life Harshad Mehta himself, Mr. Pratik Gandhi. Thank you so much for joining in, sir. I would start the session with a very like a peek into your process as an actor. कि जब आप start करते हैं, when the first time you get a script, like say a script of Scam 1992, before you got a brief from Hansal sir, what are the practices that you do? And not just in context of Scam 1992, in general as an actor, आप script को किस तरह से पढ़ते हैं, किस तरह से, like how do you read into the script? What is that period of preparing like?
The moment I get the script, I would like to read the script, as well as I would like to have narration from the director. Largely, I'm just saying about the general thing, that how I approach any new subject, any new project or a script. Because the moment you get narration from a director, you get that actual perspective of director of the story, because ultimately he has to visualize and you have to stand true to his visualization. You have to create that character of his world that he's imagined out of the story. Now I believe in this process of transition loss, that once the writer is writing, there is certain idea in his mind. Then if the writer and director are two separate people, then that entire logic or that entire story gets transported to director's brain. Now that's the first handover of the process. And on human basis, I mean, it is practically impossible to have zero transition loss. So there has to be certain loss in this entire handover. The second layer of handover is when the director tells the actor about the story in the form of narration or synopsis or whatever. So by the time actor comes on board, actor gets to know the story. This is a second handover happens. So a second layer of transition loss. And this is the process. It is inevitable. I mean, you cannot skip this. It's like Chinese whispers. आप कितना भी ध्यान से खेलो, पर 2-3 इसके बाद इटरेशन के बाद सेंटेंस चेंज होते जाते हैं. सो वो जो इमोशंस है वो बदलते हैं. योर थिंग्स. तो आई बिलीव इन दिस प्रोसेस के ट्रांजिशन लॉस कम से कम कैसे कर सकते. So how can I be as close as director's vision? And that's my process. So I want to have that detailed narration and discussions with the director so that I am on the same page. If I have any questions, I read the script and immediately I want to have that discussion. And majorly, I don't know how, but I need all the logical connections very clear right from the beginning. If anything is happening, why is it happening, should be absolutely clear to me so that I can create that emotional graph of a character. And then I can build those characteristics. I can build the world around it. Or I can, create a character which can stand true to the world that his director has decided or designed in his mind. There is no mathematics to it. There is no equation to it. It's a very simple organic process. The moment you read, it's like, in earlier days, how we used to hear stories from our grandparents or parents. And the moment start telling us the story, we start visualizing. ऐसा गांव होगा, फिर ऐसा एक राजा होगा, उसका घोड़ा था. So whatever, so I also visualize whenever I read the script. It's just that my job is to come on the same page as the director is. And then there are multiple discussions that I have to have. I need all the clarifications. I'm sure all the actors must be doing that. And once we are there, so there are certain points where you don't get answers.
Yeah. Like what?
There are certain points. Yeah, there are a lot of such points here. Like why is it happening this way, or how will we do this scene? In the beginning, we don't know how will we do the scene at the script level. It goes in the flow of the overall storytelling. But when it comes to shoot the scene on the floor, a lot of things, there are a lot of variables. You get certain energy from the floor that you're shooting in, the space that you are in, the co-actor, overall look and feel. And then there are certain new things which come. So though story gives you the overall idea of the world that you are creating, but there is always scope for an improvement. So you constantly evolve on each and every shooting day.
Yeah.
So and that evolve, there has to be a place, there has to be some space for these improvements, and ultimately it's a collaborative approach. So there are a lot, anybody can tell you anything, anybody can come up with some idea, some suggestions, something. So as an actor, I have to be open. So whenever I'm performing, I have two characters inside me. One is me myself as Pratik, and the other is a character that I create. So and then I start playing it accordingly. That if the character's major job of the character is convey those emotions, and my job as a Pratik inside me is to be aware about the place I'm in, aware about the technicalities. I have to be aware about the actual place where I am right now. Light यहाँ है, यहाँ तक चलना है, यहीं पर देखना है. बहुत सारे constraint वाले होते हैं where you are constrained with motions also. You cannot move much. जगह छोटी है. So all those things that Pratik inside me will remember, not the character.
Yeah. So, but as you said, ki you like to get the narration and you like to have a whole so that you can create the emotional arc of the character. But don't you think that like in a series like Scam 1992, how much of a graph can you create? As in, like you have to somewhere, like there are certain actors who believe that the graph has to be in the director's vision, and you just have to believe in the moment. But do you, while performing in the moment, do you keep in mind that okay, अभी मैं इस तरह से react कर रहा हूँ, 6 episode के बाद there's a callback to this moment or something like that, like the overall technical aspect of a screenplay? Do you keep all those things in mind?
Yeah. In fact, I don't have to remember these things or any mathematics behind it. If you know the whole script, so the basic working aspect of theater, like in theater, how do? We just read the script for first 25 days of rehearsals. You just go and read the script every day. Minimum 25 reading sessions of the script. That's where you know each and every aspect. Where do you want to create some setups? Where do you want to use those payoffs?
Yeah, sir,
So
sir.
there are so many setups and payoffs. Like I'll tell you, for Harshad's character, I had thought of using this typical body language, where he's constantly moving. I wanted to show his restlessness, and he's constantly thinking. Now, it is not possible all the time that you have words for it, or you have specific dialogues for it, specific scenes for it, without wasting extra screen time. If I can convey it seamlessly, then that is what I guess will add another layer to the character. So I spoke to Ansel sir also. That said, I was thinking about this, certain body language and all. He just gave me one thing. He said that you can do whatever, you can explore yourself. Before we started shooting, he said, but just make it a part of your body. So the third aspect of it is that you should. I always try to be aware as an audience that if I'm doing this, how an audience, how somebody who's going to watch it will understand this. How will I translate this thought process inside in my action? So I did that. Constant movement of fingers. There is a constant movement of fingers. If I'm sitting in one particular position, then because then it doesn't work. If I'm sitting and talking to somebody, then I can't move my fingers. So then my toes are moving. There is a constant movement in my knees, and you see that restlessness. So in first 3 days of shoot, and we were sure that okay, we are going ahead. And then there are certain places that where we put it as a setup, and then we used it.
So, and even like the opening scene, like not the opening scene, the first day at BSc, what chana khane wali cheez, was that part of the script, or was that just like, because we see that this guy is excited and like there is a certain sense of nervousness there, but because we see him chewing something, we also get that touch of, that he is constantly on the move. So it was something you added?
on the yeah, it was not a part of the script. Uh, in fact, so Bhushan's character uh, in the script, it was never decided that Bhushan's character is going to smoke.
Hmm.
Okay, so then we decided on the floor that okay, Bhushan's character can smoke, so he's smoking, and he instinctively just offered me a cigarette. And when this guy comes, Harshad, when he goes to the BSc for the first time, he just goes there and and I just picked up some chana from there. And that's how I just entered the scene. The thought process is that this guy is going to do something big, which he had no clue. He had no idea that I will do something like this. I'm going to a place where I have to be very sincere, very serious. I'm going to make it big or something. He just took it as it came. So it shows his carelessness a little bit, his confidence that okay, ये भी देख लेंगे, ये भी करना. मतलब मैं ठीक है यार, ये इसको भी explore करता हूँ. So he was never underconfident. At the same time, he has this dream. कि हाँ चलो ना देखते हैं, let me explore, कर लेता हूँ. So to show that confidence and a little firm attitude, he just says no. और वो भूषण को चना देता है कि आप चना खाओगे.
पर इस तरह के सीन्स में सर ये एक चीज होती है कि लाइक यू टेक you have to characterize the like you know the situation in a way कि अच्छा यहाँ पर मुझे एक confidence दिखानी है, मुझे एक हल्की सी carefree nature उसका दिखाना है. पर since it's based on a real life like a real person और research और 50 तरह की चीजें involved हैं इसमें वो liberty लेने की जो एक होती है कि अच्छा ये लीप में ले लेता हूँ कि अच्छा यहाँ पर because you can't be sure what's the first day of BSc for Harshad Mehta must have been like. वहां पर how do you approach it there?
So हमने इसको कैसे approach किया था? See, we were very clear about one thing, that it's rags to riches story. So he's a very, very simple guy. And now when he enters to this ring for the first time and he sees the way people are working and all, the first thing is that he's nervous. At the same time, he feels that okay, this is the world that I'm going to be a part of. So there is some amount of excitement, some amount of nervousness, and a little anxiety. Now, if you mix all these things together, if you mix all these keywords, so if you see when they were entering and Bhushan is telling him about all the signs,
Yeah.
that this is 5, this can be 50, this can be 5,000, and this is 20, this is 20, 10, 25.5, this means buying, this means he's being bombarded with a lot of information. And at the same time, he's nervous. So we added that particular moment at I guess, yeah, it was on the second or third take where we thought that, sir, let me add this. And answers are allowed. When I just say that, and Bhushan said, this means 25. Actually, this sign is for 25.
Wow.
When I said, and Bhushan said, हाँ ये 25. अरे नहीं, bathroom जाना. अरे वो सब बाद में, अभी time नहीं. So it also shows कि यार, you know, that nervousness. And then when he goes inside, he's just not able to do anything. He's mesmerized with the world around. So this is what we decided that this is how let's approach it this. Why? Because he was coming from this kind of world. And there are no evidence कि उनका पहला दिन कैसा था. किसी को नहीं पता. It is not written anywhere.
Sure.
But to create that arc of a character, to create that emotional, overall over arc of the character, these things always add value.
Sure. And later when we see him, like say कि मैं ये मतलब मैं इसका दरिया हूँ, and we're constantly reminded of that first time. So that's absolutely brilliant that you did, sir. So talking about like there's a line that you guys were walking between being punchy and realistic and also being caricaturish or being very over the top. And the dialogues have a certain rhythm. Like even when आप कहते हो कि मैंने लूटा नहीं है, मैंने लौटा दिया है, जो भी है, वहां पर भी एक certain एक alliteration है, एक rhythm है dialogues का. ये प्ले करते हुए how do you keep that like that balance कि अच्छा ये अभी इतना करूंगा तो ज्यादा हो जाएगा, इतना करूंगा तो कम रहेगा. What was that process?
So I will tell you, because my theater background and theater experience helped me a lot doing this particular thing about the dialogues. Each and every line had a meter, and this meaning. Now, the moment you go one notch higher or one notch lower, it will change. its impact. Either it will become, a very flashy line right from some 80s film. मैं आज भी फेंके हुए पैसे नहीं उठाता. It can be delivered that way also. And at the same time, because OTT is a format where really works the most. So right from the beginning, we created the character in such a way that he talks in this vocabulary. His vocabulary is such. He chooses this kind of words. He chooses this kind of rhyming words. So when we read the script, there were these, the lines were not this punchy or not this, highlighted words. We used it there also a little bit. So that there is a consistent arc of characters vocabulary where you don't suddenly feel कि अरे एकदम झटके हो गए. It's the only thing. The major difference is कि वो पहले भी ऐसे बात करता है, अभी भी ऐसे ही बात करता है, but अभी उसकी choice of words have been different. अभी वो जैसे example लेता है वो थोड़े बदल गए. तो ये मुझे याद है when I spoke to Ansel sir कि सर ये इसका जो arrogance दिखाना है. I mean, if you see, I created the graph of the character right from his dream and confidence to his overconfidence to his arrogance. In the beginning, he was confident. कि मैं कुछ भी कर लूंगा. He had a dream to achieve. Where you as an audience, you want to hoot for him. You will get connected to the character. You want him to win. You want him to achieve his dream. The moment he gets successful, then there are it's a standard story, that there are villains, those who are opposing him. You want him to win against them. But beyond a point, when this entire thing starts getting converted into overconfidence, and then later on with ego, then it is a different thing. So when you feel that, sometimes you feel for Harshad, and sometimes you feel कि यार ये गलत, ये इसको ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. So ये जो difference है ना, उसके लिए we use that smile, the smirk, जो मैंने पहले से शुरू किया था, पहले से यूज किया था उसको. तो मैंने अंकित सर को बोला कि मैं ये करूंगा. He said, you show me first 2 days. If it works for me, we'll use it. I used it, and पहला ही सीन, पहले दिन हमने शूट किया था, वो फैमिली वाला सीन शूट किया था हमने, फादर्स डेथ और वो सारे जो सीक्वेंसेस थे उस घर के, वो कांदीवली घर वाला जो घर बताया था उनका, वो सारे सीक्वेंस शूट किए थे. तो वहां पर उसका जो वो जो स्माइल थी ना, वो थोड़ी सी सटल स्माइल, but that's his natural flair, and that's how I played it. जैसे he started growing, that suddenly became larger and even confident. And towards the end, if you see, at most of the places, I have not said the line. मैंने dialogue ही काट दिए थे, it's just with a smirk, which conveys the line.
So, like making this a part of your personality, कि ये smile उस तरीके से add हो, या ये walk या hand के movements, like making it natural to your own physicality. ये process कैसा होता है? ये process किस तरह से आप follow करते हैं? ये क्या routine है आपका?
So physicalities के लिए ऐसा था कि मैंने इतने सारे ऐसे plays किए हैं जहाँ पर एक ही play में मैं 6 से 7 character करता था. So within that 2 hours, you are playing 7 different characters or 6 different characters with different body language, different tonations. Your walk has to be different. The way you look, the way you turn, the way you use your hand gestures, everything should be different so that you create distinctively 7 different characters. So that was a very handy experience that I could use here.
Sir, it was shot chronologically.
Because my breathing pattern also changed. No, not at all, not at all. It wasn't possible to shoot chronologically. But in the beginning, I guess, first 15-20 days that we shot, most of the scenes were part of first 3-4 episodes.
So, but like most of this, like keeping in mind कि ये episode आगे अभी like ये किसी और episode का scene है, and physicality से लेके emotional graph से लेके, how do you keep switch between those things? कि अच्छा अभी I'm playing a younger version, अभी I'm probably here at a point in my life. How do you manage that?
So बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ है कि on the same day, in the same location, that we are shooting multiple scenes. One scene is from second episode, one scene is from 8th episode, one is from the 10th episode. बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ है. So because we have now, once you start shooting, you have some reference points. कि ये scene हमने जो shoot किया था, इसके 5 scene बाद का ये scene है. And because before we started shooting, we knew the whole script by heart. हमको सबको पूरा स्क्रिप्ट कैसे क्या फ्लो हो रहा है वो सब पता था. So we could play around it. And I guess this is for the first time that I did playing a character in front of the camera for the longest time ever. Because this is a very interesting difference between theater, film, television and OTT. बिकॉज थिएटर में ऐसा है कि मैं वो उस कैरेक्टर की जर्नी उसकी लाइफ 2 घंटे में जीता हूँ और वो हमेशा क्रोनोलॉजिकली ही जीता हूँ स्टार्ट टू फिनिश प्ले होता है एंड देन डन सो आई नो दैट ग्राफ आई नो दैट आर्क फॉर फिल्म व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट यू हैव टू live that character for around 40 days and most of the films are shot at a stretch in single or maximum 2 schedules not more than that. I mean, I'm talking about predominantly regional cinema because that's what I did the most. हिंदी में तो खैर फिर भी थोड़ा सा आपका टाइम लंबा होता है बट डेज नंबर ऑफ डेज ऑफ शूट इज ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर 40 45 60 मैक्स. टेलीविजन में ये होता है कि आप एक बार किरदार बना लो फिर वो कैरेक्टर आपको लंबा जी और बीच में एक एपिसोड से लेके 10 एपिसोड तक के सारे अलग अलग वेरिएशन चल रहे हैं. उसमें एज ट्रैवल है, उसमें उसका एटीट्यूड का ट्रैवल है, उसकी बहुत सारी चीजें बदल रही है. सो यू हैव टू जस्ट कीप अ ट्रैक ऑफ इट. हाउ डू आई कीप अ ट्रैक ऑफ इट इज आई जस्ट रिमेंबर द स्टोरी कि कौन सा सीन है इसके पहले पे. So emotional, because I know the whole emotional graph of the character, what I remember is the high points. कि यहाँ पर इमोशन कौन से इमोशंस पे बात कर रहा था. मतलब he just lost everything और उसने गहने बेचने गए हैं वो लोग डैड के साथ. वो अगर सीन कर रहा हूँ तो उसके पहले क्या हुआ है और बाद क्या होने वाला है उसकी एक आउटलाइन मुझे पता होनी चाहिए so that I play it accordingly. That's the simple thing that I found.
But for that, आपको rehearsals में और prep के time you have to be absolutely sure of what you want to do, don't you think? मतलब उसके लिए फिर मतलब
Yeah.
So how much of prep did you guys do exactly when it came to like the performances?
When it came to performance, I guess we had multiple sessions of joint reading. I was given the script much earlier, so I kept reading my script. I think I am sure I must have read my script 7-8 times, the whole script, and the script is 550 pages. So when you keep reading, third, fourth reading पे तो आपको पूरा visualization होने लगता है. And then when you approach that scene, when you are given that scene कि अच्छा आज ये scene shoot करने वाले, you already have that in mind कि ये तो ऐसे था ना, इसमें तो ऐसे हमने करने सोचा. If there is something very typical, very difficult which you want to discuss, कि सर इसको कैसे approach करना है, क्योंकि वहां पर हमने ये अगर कर लिया है आगे तो उसी की कंटिन्यूटी में मुझे उस इमोशन को लेके चलना पड़ेगा. I can't go absolutely berserk. I can't go absolutely high or absolutely low. Because उसका एक point मेरे पास है. So father की death का scene, if you remember, he did not cry. He is full from within. He wants to cry, but he can't. So a very restrained approach towards these emotions is what we decided कि हाँ इसको ऐसे ही पकड़ के चलते.
So talking about these scenes where you're just being there. So I would like to show the audience and like we can watch the scene where there's a confrontation between Harshad Mehta and Bhushan Bhatt. And here there's a very peculiar thing that you do. Like there are beats in the scene where you take action. Before that, you're just being there. Like as you mentioned, is not like a lot of it is going on there. So just talk about how the scene was shot. Like when was it shot? कितने angles थे? कितने shots थे? How did you guys go about shooting this scene?
So we have kept one half full day, actually 4 or 5 hours to shoot this scene, because this was a very, very important scene as far as the story is concerned. And right from the beginning, when we read the script and when we were all, we were all of the same opinion that this is a very, very important scene, because this conveys a lot of things about the story. So we were shooting it in one of the offices where we have taken, and we've shot all the office sequences there. So this was the last day in that location. And Ansel sir has kept, I guess, half day for this particular sequence. And by the time we started shooting this, visually we were exhausted. यार ये इस ऑफिस में अभी एक्सप्लोर करने लायक कुछ बचा नहीं है. 4 दीवारी के अंदर ऑफिस में आप कितना दिखा दोगे ना. बहुत सारे सीक्वेंस हम ऑलरेडी शूट कर चुके थे. 6-7 दिन से हम उसी ऑफिस में शूट कर रहे हैं. So it was a point of saturation. यार इसमें आगे there is no motivation that you get beyond a point from one particular location. So एक तो वो था. दूसरा आंसर तो सोच रहे थे कैसे करेंगे इसको. Then he asked 3 of us, me, Chirag, who's playing Bhushan, and Hemant Bhai, who's playing Ashwin Bhai. So he said, how do you guys want to do it? Just let's just see this once. And that's how he does it, that I will ask the actors first कि आप इस scene को कैसे approach करते हो, कर लो एक बार. So sir and Pratham who's the DOP, they would just watch us doing this. And then they'll set up their lights. And then by the time we just do our touch-ups and all, they are ready with the lighting and all. That's how it is. So when we were rehearsing it, he said, this is it. Let's just not do even rehearse here. Let's just not do anything else. Let's just shoot this. He had planned a lot of cuts, but then it is handheld single take shot. It's just a single shot. This entire scene is single shot. So he kept 5 hours for it, and we finished this entire sequence in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Start to finish, ये पूरा जो डायलॉग है, पूरा जो कन्फ्रंटेशन है, स्टार्ट टू फिनिश हमने 2 बार शूट किया. और उसमें एक्चुअली 3 बार शूट हुआ, बिकॉज दूसरा कर रहे थे तब बैटरी खत्म हो गई थी, कार्ड फुल हो गया और लास्ट मोमेंट पे कार्ड फुल हो गया. सो मतलब और इतना अच्छा, वो बहुत इंटेंस सीन है. सो बियॉन्ड द पॉइंट व्हेन मतलब यू डोंट वांट टू, हंसल सर का ऐसा है कि वो आपको मैकेनिकल नहीं बनने देना चाहिए. वो फील में है, मिल गया तो दैट इज इट, डन. ही विल नॉट इवन आस्क यू टू डू सेकंड टेक. तो हमने तो यार, बिकॉज हम लोगों ने सीन पढ़ा और वी वर रेडी विद द डायलॉग्स एंड ऑल, इसको ये इस हिसाब से ले लेते हैं. हंसल सर इवन गेव अस दैट फ्रीडम कि आप, ये पूरा ऑफिस स्पेस है, टेबल है, चेयर है, जस्ट डू इट, आपको कैसे करना है. सो लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स वर इम्प्रॉम्प्टू, मूवमेंट्स, लुक्स, ये इतना ऑर्गेनिक बना था ये पूरा. अच्छा, इसका मजा क्या था कि द लेयर्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, because 3 characters, those who are involved in the scene, everyone is feeling betrayal. Everyone is feeling betrayal. So from Harshad's angle, it is a very weird feel that when you are the boss, when you are at the top, and somebody so close to you cheat you so easily, and you don't even know. So this sense of being cheated is the worst feeling. Apart from that, this is for the first time that you see Harshad scared. क्या तेरी वजह से मैं जेल में नहीं जाने वाला. अब तक उसने, he was putting his, putting up his strong face, क्या देख लूंगा, कर लेंगे ये. But now for the first time you feel that he's scared. अंदर से उसका टूटना शुरू होता है, because उसका first layer जो है वहां पर कुछ क्रैक है. So that sense of insecurity, that sense of losing out things, a little fear, betrayal, it's a very, very complex and emotion that way. Similarly, at one point you feel for Bhushan. If you remember that scene in the terrace, at the terrace that we have done, जब मैं भूषण को ऑफर करता हूँ, when Harshad offers भूषण, तो तब उस सीन में ना ये लाइन नहीं लिखी थी कि उसका सेनापति तो तू ही होना चाहिए. वो लाइन अलग तरह से लिखी थी कि मैं 100 लोगों की सेना बनाना चाहता हूँ जो अपना 100% देने को तैयार, फिर अपन 1001 हिस्ट्री बनाए. और उसमें शायद ऐसा था कि मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि तू भी मेरे साथ आ जाए. अब क्योंकि हमें ये ग्राफ पता था कि एंड तक ये भूषण को पार्टनरशिप नहीं देता, और ये बहुत अखड़ता है उसको, भूषण को. और जितनी बार वो पार्टनरशिप ऐसे शब्द ऐसी बात करता है तो ही जस्ट टेक्स इट ऑफ, वो झटक देता है उसको कि हाँ ठीक है, बाद में देखेंगे क्या है क्या. तो इसलिए हमने वो लाइन वहां प्लांट की थी कि सेना का सेनापति तो भूषण ही होना चाहिए. तो मैं तुझे सेनापति बना, मैं आई एम यूजिंग दिस वर्ड फॉर यू, सेनापति. उसने बोला पार्टनरशिप ऑफर कर रहा है, उसका भी जवाब सीधा नहीं दिया. उसका जवाब ये दिया था कि अरे कंपनी तेरी है, जो चाहिए ले ले, हाथ तो मिला. मतलब उसने तभी भी ये जवाब नहीं दिया था, और एंड तक उसे पार्टनरशिप नहीं देता है, सो दैट द पे ऑफ हियर मेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस. एंड सडनली यू फील फॉर भूषण कि हाँ यार, मतलब बहुत, इट इज अ बैकस्टेबिंग. जो भूषण ने किया वो बहुत बुरा था. People feel for Harshad, but at the same time there are so many people who told me that they felt for Bhushan more than Harshad. यार उसके साथ कैसा हुआ है.
And it's planted very smartly during that cricket scene.
हाँ, the cricket scene में जो है वो, कि तेरे पार्टनर को सुनना पड़ता है.
So,
और उनकी वाइफ भी सुनाती है उनको, वो वाइफ के साथ भी उसको रखा था.
Yeah, and in this scene, like as you mentioned, कि you guys shot it like twice or thrice. So how many cameras were there actually?
Only one camera. It's a single camera setup.
Single camera setup.
So Pratham, who's a DOP, he just held that camera on his shoulder, handheld camera था पूरा, and he was with us, with the character. Yeah. So first shot तो एकदम wild shot था. We just did it, and he just tried to capture us. उसमें एक फर्स्ट ही सीन में जब उसका शॉट खींचता हूँ तो बटन खुल गया था और शॉट ऐसे आ गया था. अब वो कंटिन्यूटी में पूरा सीन शूट भी कर लिया, नेक्स्ट टाइम वो जब शॉट करने भी जाए तो बटन ही नहीं, बटन टूट गया था.
So, and like talking about like the questions that you asked Hansal sir about all these things, why do you think Harshad didn't भूषण को उसने वो पार्टनरशिप नहीं दी थी? आपको ऐसा क्यों लगता है? मतलब उसने उस टाइम भी जवाब क्यों नहीं दिया होगा?
He never wanted to do that. Acha, and I'll tell you one. Bhushan is a fictitious character. Okay, Bhushan's character is the amalgamation of a lot of such people around his life. So Bhushan is not a real character that, if you see.
Yeah.
Right? It's a representation of 4 or 5 real people, those who were near in Harshad's life. And they all did this in real life. So it's just a representation. और ये एक जो पार्टनरशिप वाला एंगल है ना, वो इसलिए रखा था. It also shows you that how shrewd a businessman one can be. And apart from that, if you see, there are a lot of leaders that you see around, they have this leadership quality. They know that ये बंदा partnership के लायक नहीं. He can be a good manager.
Yeah.
He can be a good employee but can't be a good manager. ये भी होता है ना. Somebody is technically very sound, but his interpersonal skills are so bad that he will never promote him to a certain level.
I think, sir, now I'll open the house for questions, and everyone who have any, if anyone has any questions, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, Pratik sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, sir. First of all, awesome performance in Slam. Really loved it.
Thank you.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि जैसे आपकी एक टोन है, एक्सेंट होता है, हर किसी का एक टोन होता है बात करने का. अब जब आपको एक कैरेक्टर मिलता है जो डिफरेंट पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया के हो, जैसे बंगाल का हो या जैसे बंगाल का हो या पंजाब का हो, इस तरह का कैरेक्टर मिलता है, तो आप अपनी वॉइस की किस तरह ट्रेनिंग करते हैं कि वो नेचुरल लगे, ज्यादा ओवर भी ना लगे, ना ज्यादा कम लगे, जब आपको दूसरे पार्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया के कैरेक्टर पोर्ट्रे करने का मौका मिलता है तब?
So what I generally do is that I listen to the language a lot before I start speaking that language. हर एक लैंग्वेज का ना एक परफॉर्मेंस का ग्रामर भी अलग होता है. जैसे लिखना और बोलने का ग्रामर है, वैसे उसका परफॉर्मेंस का ग्रामर भी अलग है. Like I tell you this example that I had performed one play in 3 different languages in one day, and it's a monologue of 2 hours. So सुबह 11 बजे गुजराती का शो था, शाम को 4 बजे हिंदी का शो था, और रात को 8 बजे इंग्लिश का शो था पृथ्वी में. एक ही दिन पे एक ही नाटक, एक ही मोनोलॉग. Now when I did that, I understood this difference, because if you see English का जो उसकी जो पंचलाइन बनती है ना, it's very short. The meter of English is very very different. The joke will work differently in English, and the same joke will work differently in Hindi and Gujarati. So this is how it is. So if I am playing a Bengali character, I would like to learn those smaller nuances, very very small nuances. So you don't have to try too hard to sound like Bengali, but you just talk in Bengali much. जैसे मैं अभी गुजराती में भी सुनता हूँ, ज्यादातर जगह पर क्या करते हैं कि ऐसी कोई भी भाषा होती है ना, तो उसका कैरिकेचरिश वर्जन ही आता है अपने पास. लाइक गुजराती आप अगर सुनोगे हिंदी फिल्मों में, तो आपको यही सुनाई देगा, वो तो है ने हम मेरे में साउथ नो बडी. आई एम येट टू मीट अ गुजराती हु टॉक्स लाइक दिस. मतलब every Punjabi doesn't talk like Prithri. Who talks like that? Yeah, not every Punjabis do that. So the moment you carry, मतलब इसको अगर मैं ब्रैकेट में रख दूं तो विद 4-5 कीवर्ड लेके मैं कोई भी कैरेक्टर बना सकता हूं, but that will never work as far as the overall arc of the story is concerned. Or I have to see the emotions and their language in it. Or it is, I mean, it is more of adaptation than the translation.
Firstly, Pratik sir, amazing performance. Yeah, so my question is that, like you said, there are some scenes that require multiple retakes, takes and retakes. How do you maintain your energy and the intensity of the emotion throughout those takes? And has it happened that you lost your energy and like you felt tired by the end of all those takes and you couldn't perform to your best in each take? Has that ever happened?
So each and every example of theater, because theater में क्या होता है कि एक ही नाटक के multiple shows होते हैं, and theater I guess is the only place which can give you this opportunity to live the same character, same story again and again. No other format can give you this. So every time, if I'm performing the same character, same scene, same dialogue, and same punch 500th time, I still have to be as fresh as possible. As if ये अभी निकला है. मतलब मैं अगर इसमें थोड़ा भी preempt कर लूंगा, then it will not work. So this is the practice that comes from theater now. Having said that, in front of the camera, most of the time what happens is that there are technical retakes. There are retakes from the actor side also. अब each and every retake में you have to retain that freshness. So I think और होता क्या है, जितने retakes ज़्यादा होते हैं और अगर आपकी वजह से retake हो रहे हैं तो वो एक pressure build होता है. Entire crew is waiting, सब लोग आपके ऊपर देख रहे हैं और वो आपको एक pressure, performance का pressure भी feel होता है. So I guess the answer to this is just experience. अब जितना ज्यादा टाइम बिताते हो सेट पे, जितना ज्यादा टाइम शूट करते हो, जितना ज्यादा टाइम परफॉर्म करते हो, उतना धीरे धीरे इससे कंफर्ट लेवल आते जाते हैं. और एज फार एज थकान की बात है, यू नो, गेटिंग एग्जॉस्टेड एंड ऑल इज कंसर्न, सो आई गेस वंस यू आर इन दैट फील, इन दैट कैरेक्टर, यू डोंट फील एग्जॉस्टेड. देयर आर सर्टेन सीन्स व्हिच रिक्वायर्स लॉट ऑफ फिजिकल मूवमेंट. उसमें नो डाउट वो थकावट आ जाती है, वो एग्जर्शन आ जाता है, बट आई गेस उसमें यू शुड टेक ब्रेक. जस्ट आस्क फॉर दैट 5 मिनट ऑफ ब्रेक. बिकॉज बहुत सारी बार होता क्या है ना कि लूप में लग जाते हैं. एक चीज दिमाग में उस मीटर में सेट हो गई तो बार बार हम उसी मीटर पे आते रहते हैं. मतलब खाली और ताली की जो बात है ना, सम पे आने की बात है, तो हमें एक दो बार डिलीवर करने के बाद वो डायलॉग, वो परफॉर्मेंस, वो लुक, वो वॉक, हमें वो सम की आदत पड़ जाती है. So we just have to break that rhythm which is not working and come out with a new rhythm. So if you feel कि ये ऐसे नहीं हो रहा है, I think one should take break. I'll tell you this. मित्रों फिल्म में मैंने एक फिल्म की थी मित्रों, 3 साल पहले रिलीज हुई थी. उसमें एक सीन था, नितिन कक्कड़ who's the director, हमने आगे बहुत डिस्कशन किया था कि ये कैरेक्टर ऐसा है, he is a straight face guy, उसका पोकर फेस ह्यूमर है और ऐसे पोकर फेस वन लाइनर्स यूज करता है. The first scene we had 17 retakes and I was failing to understand what is not working. बहुत सिंपल सी लाइन कि मैं जानता हूं उस लड़की को पर बुला नहीं सकता. मेरा दोस्त पूछता है क्यों, और मैं सिर्फ उसे कहता हूं क्योंकि वो मुझे नहीं आता. इतनी ही लाइन थी. and I am trying all possible variations with the thought process कि हमने जो सोचा है कैरेक्टर के बारे में, जो डिस्कस किया, मैं उसी को लाइन को पकड़ के चलूं. But it's not working. And when the director is so sure that it's just not working, you tend to ask yourself, कि क्या हो रहा है यार, 17 retakes for the first time in my life. और इतने छोटे से सीन के लिए. लास्ट में उन्होंने ये कह दिया मुझे कि यार मुझे लगता है ये सीन निकाल देंगे. And मैं आई एम थिंकिंग कि यार ऐसा क्या हो रहा है, what is not working. Then he just took a break. He said कि 5 minutes break. ब्रेक में मैं उनके पास गया, I just spoke. मैंने सर अभी मैं आपको ना 5 वेरिएशन अभी के अभी बता देता हूँ इस लाइन की, कि मैं इसको ऐसे भी डिलीवर कर सकता हूँ, ऐसे भी और ऐसे भी, 5 अलग अलग वेरिएशंस. आप बताइए कि कौन सा करना है. एंड दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट डे ऑफ शूटिंग ऑफ दैट फिल्म. सो इन द थर्ड लाइन व्हेन आई वाज सेइंग इट फॉर द थर्ड टाइम, ही सेड दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट. आई सेड सर दिस इज डिफरेंट देन व्हाट वी डिस्कस्ड अर्लियर. जो मैं समझा था उससे थोड़ा अलग है. तो इसे पर वो जो भी है ये ठीक है. सो देन बाय गॉड्स ग्रेस इट वाज द फर्स्ट डे. सो देन आई टुक दैट पर्टिकुलर कैरेक्टर और मैंने उस हिसाब से पूरा कैरेक्टर रिकैलिब्रेट किया. पर ऐसा होता है, बहुत बार होता है. उसमें मुझे लगता है कि विदाउट बीइंग वर्कड अप, जस्ट बी देयर, फेस इट कि हाँ हो सकता है, कभी नहीं हुआ. Because we are human here, we are not machine.
Thank you for that question, Anjali.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
She's a 12th standard student, so she wants to learn acting.
Oh, lovely, man. That's the correct time to get into theater.
Yeah.
I'm actually part of this theater organization in Bangalore called Bangalore Little Theatre, and I have done small roles in certain plays, but not much. And I really love it, and
Lovely.
I want to learn more.
Is Dhruv this side? So initially my question was based on the web series, but since you've been talking about experience a lot, so I really want to know that
obviously as actors we are growing and we are looking for every opportunity to explore the art. But now with time, what is that one thing that you look for in a character that sparks a calling inside you that ye character to main hi karunga? Like what is that one thing when you read a script or a story or you hear a narration? What is that one thing that you look for? Whether is it a particular emotion that you will get to portray, or is it a certain relatability, or sometimes you totally hate the character and you can't relate, and then you're like, okay, it will be something different because it will be more challenging because it does not come naturally to you, oneself. But like everybody has their own persona. So what is that one thing that you look for in a character? And the second part, sorry, to the question is that
Yes.
irrespective of whom you're shooting with or whom you're working with or whether you're in theater, what is your personal, I don't know, that instinct that helps you switch between Pratik sir that you are and that character? Like, sometimes like, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Got it. So I guess your first part of the question, that how do I select a character that I want to be a part of this, or how do I select the script? So my approach towards the script is that it should be giving me enough scope to improve myself. It should be challenging enough. And I love playing complex emotions. So some things that very close to me, and I can see that reflection in the character also. But how will I portray this in the overall scheme of things to enhance the story is the challenge that I look forward to. And that is the reason that I am open to all different kinds of experiments. And these experiments is what make us the real actors, because every time you challenge yourself out of your comfort zone is where the real actor is. So that is one part. The other part is that switch on, switch off between myself and the character. So when I'm the character, I behave like a character. Even the one-liners that I want to add, even those improvisations that I want to do. Once you become a character, everything has to be a part of that. अगर मैं प्रतीक होता तो शायद यहाँ ऐसे वन लाइनर यूज कर लेता, बट आई एम हर्षद और आई एम सम कैरेक्टर, तो वो कहाँ से आता है, उसका वोकेबलरी क्या है, उसका वर्ल्ड क्या है, उस हिसाब से आई स्टार्ट थिंकिंग. सो इट्स जस्ट अ मैटर ऑफ प्रैक्टिस दैट यू थिंक लाइक अ कैरेक्टर एंड यू बिकम दैट कैरेक्टर. और उसके लिए अगर कभी तुम्हें थोड़ा बुरा लगना पड़ेगा, तुम्हारे बाल ऐसे हैं, मेरा ये प्रोफाइल अच्छा है, ये प्रोफाइल बुरा है, आई डोंट थिंक अबाउट इट, बिकॉज व्हाट आई थिंक अबाउट इट इज दैट द कैरेक्टर शुड वर्क ओवरऑल. And most of the time it works that way because character becomes so lovable, it gets in you that as an audience you start following the character's journey and you forget that who is it, even if you have seen him in a distinctive different characters earlier.
Hello everybody, namaste Pratik ji.
Namaste.
Okay, wonderful to hear your experience in the entire theater, your background. So I had two questions. My first question, and I must say also, I want to thank you for creating a Cast Pro Live, because I attended theater and that day you were speaking about it. So I think that's a wonderful initiative. And so I had a question that, so there are certain people who are not yet used to the online formats, and a little, I mean, there are people I know who, and a little apprehensive about downloading it or working around it, uploading their profiles. So do you have some suggestion for them as to how they can begin? Because कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो लाइव परफॉर्मेंसेस और थिएटर से इतने जुड़े हैं कि उनको ये ऑनलाइन तक शिफ्ट होना बहुत मुश्किल लग रहा है. So so I'm trying to help a few people there. So I just wanted to ask you that, do you have any suggestions? Is there any tips you can give me so that I can help them? You've created something. They just need to take that step.
So I think there are two different things to it. Now, in the last 2 years, because theater as a live medium has completely, lost its space in last 2 years from our lives. It's just not happening. So a lot of people try to put up their plays online. But I personally feel, and the way I see this is that live media and live storytelling is a different ballgame altogether. Right? So if I start performing a play in front of the screen right now, and if you watch it, you will not get that impact at all. right? Similarly, if you pick up any scene from as it is, with the story and everything as it is from any of the film and just perform it, it will not have that impact. So we just need to understand the difference between these two mediums.
True.
Theater is an active medium, whereas screen is a passive medium. And most of the people, those who are attuned to perform live, they are also attuned to have instant gratification.
True.
Those claps, those laughters, everything will help you calibrate your next dialogue, your next performance, your next move. Because it's a live medium, we take that energy from the audience and we constantly evolve, throughout the play, which doesn't happen here. So if you are not, if you don't have that experience, then that switch is very difficult for you. I have seen a lot of people putting up their plays on screen, live like this in front of the screen, but it is not working. Because the same story for the screen needs to be adapted differently. It needs to be written differently. There are certain things that you will have to omit, certain things that you have to add. So एक तो वो difference है. As far as creating a profile and reaching out to maximum people is concerned, I guess in today's world, this is inevitable that we use electronic media. We have to use electronic media. So I guess it's just a matter of time that they'll understand and they'll have to do this.
Have to do it.
They'll have to do this. There is no other option that we have now.
Thank you for that. And my second question is, so I'm a performance storyteller. I do storytelling as a profession, and I also use stories and drama with children. So, like you were talking about theater. So playback theater has also come in a lot, article, and about, how you bring in the movements, how you play with the camera. So we try and do all that in storytelling as well. So I use a lot of performance, so into the character and all. I would love to hear from you as to how do you think I can improve, my theatrics? Because so in storytelling also, when we go into the character, it's a lot like acting, but of course what you'll do is a much larger scale. So what is it that the practice between the performances, practice in everyday life, what any tips for someone like me to work on?
I don't know. See, there are no technicalities to it. There are no methods to it. I think the only thing is that whatever you say, whatever that you want to convey should come from within with the same emotions. If those emotions you are able to translate those emotions that are coming from within in overall your actions or the words, or even if you're doing a radio natak or just an audio play, it should be translated in your voice.
True.
And you should be able to give me that picture, that visualization. मुझे वो गांव, वो मंदिर, वो पहाड़ दिखना चाहिए. If that is happening, then things are done. Then I guess the job is done. And that can happen only because there are a lot of times I have seen a lot of people doing this. That they just say the line just for the sake of it. It's there. I have to say it. मैंने बोल दिया. There is one is information, and one is emotional information. So information को भी emotions के साथ कैसे मैं देता हूँ? That is all about theater, I guess. That's how we, because your gestures, your hand, your movement. So है क्या? Performance is, I guess, the highest level of meditation.
You're in
because
that moment.
In that moment, your emotions, your body, your mind, your soul, everything comes to one point, and that's when you convey something. So that it reaches to the other point. Because ये performance वाला चीज ऐसा है कि उसमें थोड़ी भी चोरी करेंगे तो पकड़े जाते.
बिल्कुल.
थोड़ी भी चोरी की तो पकड़े जाते. Yeah,
be
just feel
the
it.
Character.
Just be authentic. I mean, you feel it and do it, and that it will reach. Because there is no mathematics to it. There is no science to it.
तो प्रतीक, ये आपने जो भी बताया, जो भी हम लोगों ने सुना आपके बारे में, हर बार आप थिएटर का ही एग्जाम्पल यूज करते थे, तो उनके लिए क्या है ऑप्शन, या उनके लिए क्या कुछ है चांस जिन्होंने थिएटर नहीं किया या नहीं कर सकते हैं, उनके लिए क्या सलाह देना चाहेंगे? मतलब मुझे तो लगा कि हमारा चांस गया मतलब तो कुछ कर नहीं सकते.
अरे नहीं सर, प्रशांत जी, ऐसी बात नहीं. मैंने इसलिए ज्यादा थिएटर के एग्जांपल्स यूज किए क्योंकि मेरा एक्सपीरियंस वहां ज्यादा है, तो मैं मेरे एक्सपीरियंस से बात कर रहा था, बाकी कुछ नहीं. एंड आई हैड नेवर बीन टू एनी अदर एक्टिंग इंस्टीट्यूट और समथिंग, सो दैट आई डिड नॉट हैव दोस वर्ड्स फॉर इट. तो मैं सिर्फ आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू ड्रॉ दोस फ्रॉम माय एक्सपीरियंस. इसलिए पर ऐसे बहुत सारे एक्टर्स हैं, ऐसे बहुत सारे परफॉर्मर्स हैं जिनको मैं भी जानता हूँ, जिन्होंने शायद थिएटर कभी नहीं किया, डायरेक्टली रेडियो के साथ जुड़े हैं, दे आर स्टिल द बेस्ट. सो वैसा तो कुछ है ही नहीं है. देयर इज नो मैथमेटिक्स इज व्हाट आई वुड से. प्रैक्टिस की जहां तक बात है ना, तो थिएटर इसलिए क्योंकि थिएटर गिव्स मी दैट स्पेस कि मैं प्रैक्टिस कर सकता हूँ अपना क्राफ्ट. if you are not attached to theater, you can still practice your craft. आप कैसे प्रैक्टिस करें? मतलब बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो आईने के सामने प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग हैं ग्रुप में प्रैक्टिस करते हैं. इट इज नॉट दैट एवरी डे वी गो एंड शूट. शूटिंग मतलब फ्लोर पे होते हैं तो मेरी प्रैक्टिस चल रही है, बिकॉज ये क्राफ्ट की बात है, और एक्टिंग ऐसा क्राफ्ट है करते करते ही सीख सकते हैं. आज तक मैं किसी को नहीं जानता जो पढ़ के एक्टिंग सीखा हो या देख के एक्टिंग सीखा हो. मतलब उससे हम कुछ इनपुट ले सकते हैं, बट अनलेस यू ट्राई इमोटिंग दोज इमोशंस, अनलेस यू ट्राई परफॉर्मिंग, वी विल नॉट नो दैट हाउ गुड आर वी एट और कैसे इंप्रूव होना है. तो हाँ, थिएटर एक ऐसी चीज है जिससे आपको फायदा बहुत होगा, पर उसके बिना भी आप काम कर ही सकते हैं, और आप जो जहां भी काम कर रहे हैं दैट आल्सो गिव्स यू एन एक्सपीरियंस. बाकी तो ऑडियो का तो मुझे लगता है कि सब लोग अपने हिसाब से प्रैक्टिस करते ही होंगे. ऑडियो का और वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन और वॉइस की प्रैक्टिस तो आई गेस ऑल द एक्टर्स दे डू इट. एज फार एज दिस इज कंसर्न नाउ, अभी तो टाइम वैसे भी डिजिटल का है, सो एवरीवन, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल दैट आई नो जो कि अपना वीडियो शूट करते रहते हैं, एंड बाय लुकिंग एट इट, बाय प्रैक्टिसिंग इट, दे इंप्रूव. और अभी का तो लॉकडाउन का माहौल ऐसा है कि इसने बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी दे दिया हमें. एवरीबडी इज शूटिंग एट लीस्ट 5 वीडियोस एवरी डे एंड इंप्रूविंग. सो या, देयर इज नथिंग अबाउट इट.
कुछ पढ़ने के लिए कुछ बुक्स वगैरह रिकमेंड करेंगे आप? कुछ आपका पर्सनल
फॉर एक्टिंग,
हाँ,
फॉर
कोई
एक्टिंग
एक्टिंग या कुछ भी था जिसने आपको हेल्प किया बहुत ज्यादा?
प्रशांत जी, मैं सही बताऊं तो एक्टिंग की कोई बुक मैंने नहीं पढ़ी है, पर हाँ मतलब लिटरेचर अगर पसंद है तो आई रीड लॉट ऑफ लिटरेचर बुक, एंड आई कम फ्रॉम गुजराती बैकग्राउंड और गुजराती लिटरेचर, सो आई रीड दोज लिटरेचर अ लॉट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, मैं तो यार इंजीनियर आदमी हूँ, तो मैं तो वो सारी बुक ज्यादा पढ़ता हूँ. तो मतलब
लॉज ऑफ थर्मोडायनेमिक्स.
ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच.
So with this, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for everyone who joined in. Thank you so much for joining in, Pratik sir. आप हर्षद मेहता हैं हम सबके लिए, मेरे लिए आप सबसे पहले रॉन्ग साइड राजू थे. इनफैक्ट तीसरे एपिसोड में मैंने अपने दोस्त को फोन करके कहा था कि अब ये तो रॉन्ग साइड राजू है. मतलब that's a testament to how brilliant you as an actor you are. Thank you so much for joining in, sir.
thank you guys, thank you,
Thank you,
good
sir.
luck.